Have you ever stood at the top of a snowy hill, looked down and thought, all right, let's do this? Now, imagine that hill isn't a gentle slope at your local park. Imagine it's K2, the second highest mountain on Earth, a peak so treacherous it's known as the Savage Mountain, and you're about to ski down it. Without supplemental oxygen. Sounds impossible, right? Well, for one man, the impossible is just another day at the office. This is the story of Andrzej Bargiel, a Polish ski mountaineer who looked at one of the deadliest mountains in the world and saw not just a challenge to be climbed, but a line to be skied. In 2018, he did what no one in history had ever managed. He successfully skied from the summit of K2 all the way back down to base camp. This wasn't just a record-breaking stunt. It was a paradigm shift in the world of high-altitude mountaineering. To truly appreciate the magnitude of this feat, you have to understand K2. Standing at 8,611 meters, it's only slightly shorter than Everest, but it's vastly more difficult and dangerous to climb. The weather is notoriously unpredictable. The technical climbing is relentless, and the final push to the summit is a steep, exposed pyramid of rock and ice. For every 4 people who reach the top, 1 dies trying. It's a place that demands respect, a place where survival is the ultimate prize. Climbers who tackle K2 typically spend weeks, even months, acclimatizing. They make several trips up and down the mountain, establishing camps and getting their bodies used to the dangerously thin air. They rely on fixed ropes, teams of Sherpas, and almost always bottled oxygen. The descent is often more dangerous than the ascent, as exhaustion and dwindling oxygen levels lead to fatal mistakes. Andrzej Bargiel threw that entire playbook out the window. His plan was audacious: climb K2 without supplemental oxygen, click into his skis at the summit, and navigate a near-vertical labyrinth of ice, rock, and crevasses to get back down. This wasn't just about speed, it was about survival. Skiing would allow him to descend much faster than a traditional climber, spending less time in the death zone above 8,000 meters where the human body simply cannot survive for long. But the risks were astronomical. A fall wouldn't just mean a broken bone, it would be a fatal plunge of thousands of meters. He had to contend with seracs, massive overhanging blocks of ice that could collapse at any moment. He had to navigate through the infamous bottleneck, a narrow couloir overhung by a gigantic ice cliff, the site of many of K2's worst tragedies. All this on skis, with his brain and body starved of oxygen. So, who is this man who dares to ski where others barely dare to tread? Andrzej Bargiel grew up in a small village in southern Poland. He was one of 11 children, and from a young age the mountains were his playground. He wasn't born into a family of famous climbers. His passion was homegrown, fueled by an insatiable curiosity and an incredible natural talent. He started skiing early and quickly progressed to ski mountaineering, a sport that combines the endurance of climbing with the thrill and skill of extreme skiing. Before K2, Bargiel had already built an incredible resume. He was the first person to ski down Shishapangma and Broad Peak. He was building a reputation for a unique style: fast, light, and always on skis. He saw mountains not just as peaks to be conquered, but as complete systems to be navigated from bottom to top and back down again in a single fluid motion. For him, the descent was as important as the ascent. It was the second half of the journey. His 2018 expedition to K2 was a masterclass in planning, patience, and perseverance. The team arrived at base camp and began the acclimatization process. Bargiel, along with his brother Bartek, who operated a drone, meticulously studied the mountain. Bartek's drone footage was crucial. It wasn't just for capturing epic shots, it was a vital reconnaissance tool. It allowed Andrzej to scout his ski line from a safe distance, identifying potential hazards, checking snow conditions, and planning alternate routes. This fusion of old-school mountain sense and cutting-edge technology was a key to their success. The weather on K2 is a fickle beast. The team waited for a clear window, a brief period of calm that would allow for a summit push. When the forecast finally looked promising, the clock started ticking. Andrzej began his final ascent. He climbed with remarkable speed, moving efficiently through the thin, cold air. Unlike other teams who were taking days to move between camps, Bargiel was a blur of motion. On July 22, 2018, after a grueling final push, Andrzej Bargiel stood on the summit of K2. The view was breathtaking, a sea of clouds pierced by the highest peaks on Earth. But for him, this wasn't the finish line. In many ways, it was the starting line. While other climbers would be contemplating the dangerous, exhausting downclimb, Andrzej was performing a different ritual. He took a moment, clipped into his custom-made skis, and pointed the tips downhill. The descent began. Imagine skiing on a slope so steep it feels like you're about to fall off the face of the planet. The snow conditions changed constantly, from patches of soft powder to slick blue ice. He had to make precise, controlled turns, knowing that a single mistake could be his last. He skied down the summit pyramid, carefully navigating around rock bands. He then reached one of the most critical sections, the shoulder. Here, he had to traverse across a huge open face, exposed to the wind and the sheer drop below. At one point, he had to take off his skis to rappel down a section of pure ice before clicking back in and continuing his descent. His brother Bartek was watching every move through the drone's camera, relaying information and providing a crucial set of eyes from the sky. This wasn't just a solo effort, it was a perfectly synchronized team operation. Then came the bottleneck. Skiing through this notorious death trap was an act of incredible bravery and skill. Bargiel moved through it with a speed and confidence that was simply mind-boggling. He was literally skiing over the top of a feature that has claimed the lives of so many skilled climbers. Further down, the drone spotted another climber in trouble. A Scottish climber named Rick Allen had gone missing after a summit attempt. In an incredible display of mountain camaraderie, Bargiel altered his route. The drone, guided by Bartek, located Allen, and Andrzej was able to ski towards his location, helping to guide the rescue effort from the slopes. He didn't just complete his historic mission, he helped save a life in the process. As he descended further, the challenges continued. The lower slopes were riddled with crevasses, deep cracks in the glacier hidden by thin snow bridges. He had to navigate this minefield, using his experience to read the terrain and pick a safe path. At one point, poor visibility forced him to wait in a temporary camp, a frustrating delay when all you want to do is get down to safety. Finally, after more than 7 hours of non-stop high-stakes skiing, Andrzej Bargiel glided into base camp. He had done it. He had skied from the summit of K2. Exhausted but triumphant, he was greeted by his emotional team. He had not only climbed the savage mountain without oxygen, but had returned via the most audacious, elegant, and fastest route imaginable. Andrzej Bargiel's achievement cannot be overstated. He didn't just break a record, he shattered the perception of what is possible in the high mountains. He demonstrated that with incredible skill, meticulous planning, and a deep respect for the mountain, skiing can be a viable and, in some ways, safer method of descent from the world's highest peaks. His journey reminds us that human potential is not a fixed limit. It's a constantly expanding frontier, pushed forward by individuals who dare to dream differently. Bargiel saw a ski line where others saw only danger. He combined the soul of a mountaineer with the artistry of a skier to create a moment of pure genius. This story isn't just about conquering a mountain, it's about a new way of interacting with them. It's about flow, efficiency, and a deep connection with the natural world. It proves that sometimes the boldest path is also the smartest one. The legacy of Andrzej Bargiel's descent from K2 will inspire generations of climbers and skiers to look at the world's greatest challenges and ask not just, can it be climbed, but how can it be skied? Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible story of courage and skill. If you were as amazed by Andrzej Bargiel's feat as I was, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories of extraordinary human achievement. Let us know in the comments what you think is the most impressive part of this historic descent. We'll see you in the next video.